Good evening to all of you at home and welcome back to our virtual Dominion Energy Jazz Café. The days and nights have gotten shorter and colder, and I hope you set your clocks back. Tonight, we welcome one returning face, but the rest new to the series. With an evening of jazz, we welcome the Deb Saidel Jazz Quartet.
Welcome. My name is Deb Saidel, and we are so happy to be here this evening. I really appreciate the Jazz Society and the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts for hosting us. And I am joined tonight by Lee Covington on piano, Carter Blough on bass, and Keith Willingham on drums. So those are a couple of our just warm-up tunes, and I wanted to just let you know we're going to play a lot of things that work well with a flute. And the next one, The Nearness of You, is a beautiful ballad that never gets old. And then we're going to switch it up into a waltz, Some Time Ago, and then round out the first set with one of my favorite tunes of all times, and also by a jazz giant, Yusef Lateef. And the name of that is Stay With Me. I look forward to when we can all be together. You could hear that still pinging in the room in here. Okay. So now we're into Some Time Ago. I think you bring me in. Okay. Well, I have a quick Yusef Lateef story. He also, oh, please do. All right. He is multi-instrumentalist. He could wail on an oboe and an English horn to make blues. Also, was quite a composer and an educator, and he's written many things, and one of which was a suite for flute and double bass, which I performed at the Gelman Room here, the library, years ago, and had it recorded and sent it to him. And he wrote back with a very lovely thank you handwritten note, letting me know that he appreciated it and thought I played from the heart, which was quite a compliment. And then beyond that, he was so sweet. He sent me gifts. He kept sending me a jazz flute duo book. I got another thing about the spirituality of playing. And after he passed, his widow actually contacted me that he had a note that there was another piece he had composed for solo flute, and I have that. I've yet to perform it publicly, but I will. Yeah, it just a tremendous artist, both playing with command and humility and vulnerability all at the same time. I just am still enthralled with him to this day, and this is called "Stay With Me."
Should my heart not be humble? Should my eyes fail to see? Should my feet sometimes stumble, somebody said, on the way, stay with me. Thank you, Deb, for that first set of what my uncle calls music to coo by. I'm sure going to coo when I review our work here tonight. I think with that first set, though, you and the fellas have earned a break. Would you join me for a conversation about yourself?
Sure.
All right over here. Well, Deb, thank you so much for that first set of music. It really softened my heart today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And before we get involved in the conversation so that not only I, but our folks at home can learn more about you, would you take a moment to tell us something about yourself in your own words?
Well, yes. All right. Tonight I'm a flutist, but I also play and teach saxophone and clarinet, alto flute and piccolo, and seasoned player, classical player, musical theater. I've played shows back in the day here at VMFA.
Oh, welcome back.
Yeah. So that's part of it. I wear many hats. One thing that has been consistent too, and as my career as a musician, was a single parent. I raised a daughter who is now an architect, and I'm very proud of her. And so now I have more time. You know, it's a different phase of life. I also recently, in the last 3 years, earned my doctorate in interdisciplinary studies and media and art and text at VCU.
Wow.
But I talked about women, my research was about women in music and historical narratives. So there's a lot of different things that I do.
Well, congratulations, doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show. Such a wealth of knowledge. Take me back, Deb, if you would, to the beginning of what got you interested in music in the first place.
Oh gosh, one of my favorite stories, I can remember in elementary school, it was like the happiest part of my day when I was in school. The teacher came in with a wagon, like a little cart, and she was just so much more cheerful and happy than my teacher, and I was so happy when she came in. And you know, that was just the highlight of it, but I wasn't really quite serious about it. I played clarinet a little bit and then switched to flute, and it was the school's flute. So when I graduated high school, I left it, and it took a few years, actually losing some people in my life, and made me think, what do I like to do? And so I bought this little $80 flute, and I've always improvised. That's what I did. I just kind of played, and it helped me grieve. It helped me connect, and I would go out in nature and play. And then eventually I decided maybe I should. Someone said, you know, there's this person at VCU and she's wonderful. Maybe you should go take some lessons. So it wasn't until my late 20s that I really had serious formal training.
Wow.
And at that time I started that and trying to learn jazz at the same time.
Wow, and well, you play, fooling me, like someone who's played their whole life.
No, the script from my parents was I was going to be a physical therapist, and I'm not very medically inclined.
No, my father always told me I would be the first Dr. Fennard in the family, and I fooled him, I guess. But he's very proud of what I'm doing now, as I'm sure you are of your daughter and her career as an architect.
I am.
Tell me about some of the great influences that you have in your life that inspire you to continue being a musician.
Oh my gosh. That's such an interesting question, because it's such a part of life. You try to think about what it would be like without it. And you know, the sensitivity of it, I just think it's such a powerful thing. It has a spiritual power that I think sound is, and I think it connects, and there was a way for me to connect I think when I play for who's in the room and who we see and who we don't see. I mean, it heals, it brings people together, it gives a sense of identity, and for me, the flute is my favorite. It's just the beauty of the sound. It's just, it is enchanting, and I have just always been compelled to try to make beauty for beauty's sake.
Beauty for beauty's sake, Deb. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm really jiving with connecting with your descriptor of music as healing. To me, it's my medicine. You know, it heals my mind. It even heals my body when I'm feeling broken. I go back to the music from my roots and I'm suddenly feeling better. How do you connect spiritually with the sound?
Well, as a flutist, particularly because it's breath. I mean, it takes a lot of air to play the flute. It grounds me, and at the same time, it uplifts me, and it transports me, and it definitely is a somatic experience, but it's also can be an intellectual, but it's emotional, and you know, the sound is visceral. It does affect you, and it's not just your ears. You listen with all your skin, with all your body, and so that's how I connect to it. I just think it's just such a powerful thing, and I can't imagine life without it. And I feel as if it's one of the greatest gifts of being here and trying to make sense of life. It helps me make sense of life just for the beauty of it, and I need that every day.
As do I. In recent years, I've been looking into the impact of the sonic impulse on health, on the body, on the mind, on our DNA itself. And I know you've put some time into studying the connection between art and music and spirituality and religion. Would you mind teaching us something about that?
That is our roots. Like the oldest known system of healing known to us is the shamanic tradition, and that is the roots of all religion, and that is the root of music. That we've kind of come full circle where we have peer-reviewed scientific proof now that sound, and they're using it in healing more and more, and the vibrations of it. And women were integral in that, is that sound was welcoming beings into the world. It is what ushers them off into the other world, and it is also a way to bring healing, congruence. It definitely has been used as healing for as long as we've been around, and it's beyond pre-Paleolithic. I mean, it's been very, very ancient tradition, and women were very much a part of it. So I just think we're come full circle where we're opening up and appreciating indigenous approaches, and you just have to open it up. That even the word music is a social construct. There are societies that don't have a word for music because it's just such a part of who they are. And so when you think about sonic phenomenon and the way that we hear and we process the environment, it has not changed for human beings in over 40,000 years. It's basically the same. So that is a thread, how when you're listening and you're hearing birds or you're listening to something, you can connect to people who lived 45, 50,000 years ago. It's the same, it's a similar experience. And I don't know so much where I'm going with this thread, but it is a really important thing, and it helps us connect. It definitely helps us connect, and it has been used for healing for a very, very long time. And just as you said, it lets you process stuff. It's cathartic. I mean, there's lots of things written about it, but I think, I know. The other part I was going to say, for me, in my studies, is when I opened up and I turned to sound studies to incorporate that in, it decentered music and what like good music was, whatever that meant, is that music is one sonic phenomenon amongst many. And so that opens up for a lot of trajectories and a lot of ways to understand that we are sound interpreters and sound makers. And that is a sphere of personal power for women and for men too. But in my studies, that's kind of my argument, is that I wanted a new way to talk about women in music that wasn't trying to fit into what the prescribed narrative already is.
I'd like to learn more from you about your work with women in music. I know you're part of an international organization that champions the work of women in music. Can you talk to us a little bit about the work that you do with them and the work that they do throughout the world?
Yes. That particular organization is the International Alliance for Women in Music, the IAWM. And I joined recently and then was immediately recruited to be the treasurer. I'll never know why. I have no idea why she thought that was a good idea. But I've been trained and I'm the treasurer for that and the executive board. And it has been around for several decades and it had different permutations. But it's a global initiative that champions women in music, and it has sponsorship so that there is a call for new music every year. There's a competition and people compose and submit. People submit musicological reviews things that they've written. Teaching, there's an award for teaching. There's an award for programming for performers who perform women's music. And so it's an initiative that we have a new website, but we also have a journal that comes out that many libraries carry, but also people can join for a nominal fee because it's membership driven. And you know, we have a concert coming up at Howard University on the 16th of November, and then our conference is going to be in Eugene, Oregon in June, and we'll have guest speakers, and I'm hoping that I can present, but we'll see. So it's a wonderful, wonderful organization, and lots of networking, and it's a way to give women this competition and the award thing is a piece that was missing for women. Men always had that, and whether competing, and so amongst their peers to figure out what they thought their standards were and what it was. So this was a way for women to have it on their own terms.
What are these concerts like the one at Howard?
It is going to be, you know, I'm not on the top of my head to know exactly what the program is, but people submitted. It's new works. It's all music by women.
New compositions. Oh, that's exciting. I want to hear those.
Well, you can. It'll be streamed. We'll see. I'll connect you with that. Yeah, IAWM.org. Yeah. So I'm. It's just by happy accident I ended up being, you know, very much involved in it. But it's a good fit, and I would love everyone to join and know more about it because it's needed.
I'm glad that we're introducing me to it. I didn't know, and introducing someone I'm sure at home. Stay here for just a little bit with me. I'm interested to learn what the conference, did you say that's in Oregon? What are those like, and what's the impact like when you have those?
Well, they've been they've been in Europe, they've been in Australia, they've been in different places. This year, because of COVID, it's going to be a hybrid. It'll be part streamed and part live, and it's going to have a sister presentation in, I believe it's Belgium, where it will be coming. And so there will be guest speakers, there will be presentations, there will be breakout rooms, there will be people setting up sonic installations, discussions, what you would usually do at academic, kind of the academic side of some kind of conference. And I wanted to say also, there's a jazz award in this. Yes, there's a jazz composition award that's given out every year, the Portland Jazz. Support that.
Oh, wow, that's
we could bring it on point for what we were talking about. But conferences are like that. So this is like call and her response and the time of change. And so we're looking, and the theme is what kind of music, what kind of efforts are being made in this time of change? What can we bring forward for music? How can we help promote women, support women, and bring forth more information about them?
Sometimes when you talk to musicians, they drop little musical terms and they didn't even know they did it. Call and response, talking about just a second ago. I love that. Okay, so we're in a jazz show right now. We're talking about jazz music, but you come to jazz from the world of classical music. What made you want to learn more about jazz?
Because I've always improvised. Actually, classical that's the standard of what you do, right? When you come to school, and reading music, I wanted to know more about that, and even just how to hold it. I mean, I had the hand position of a sixth grader, I think, when I came in my late 20s to VCU. So that's a big thread of it, I would say, is the improv and the sounds, and there's so much room for creativity, and it explores. The textures and the types of experiences that you can have are so different. And in my upbringing, I'm from a very rural area of northern New York, and I'm Jewish, and we had a temple that most of the people were Holocaust survivors. So the music from that impacted me, and it's a lot of it's mournful, a lot of it's very kind of bluesy, lots of minor, diminished, these are musical terms, but lots of that going on. But the idea of there's all kinds of sounds. You know, I was an exchange student in high school, and I went to India, and I lived with a Hindu family, and so the music there was really different, you know, and that's the connection I think probably I had. Now, in talking to you, it comes to mind that's a big impact on me for the spirituality of it and the improv, the ragas, and all the music that was there. So I think there's a great music is music. It's another way of playing. And swing is just wonderful, just wonderful.
Another way of playing, just another perspective at looking at the same sounds, the same 88 notes on that piano are there for jazz and classical. Can't change that. Your experience as an artist isn't just with music. Can you talk about, I understand that your larger study is in the humanities. Can you talk a little bit about where you land with those other mediums?
I would say that in the humanities, it's interdisciplinary. So back in the day, I created 2 classes. One was, and they're cross-listed, Women in Music, where I was looking from gender studies, looking at roles and identity, but also all the genres of music and women's roles and the challenges that they face and have always faced. And then the other class was Sacred Sound, Music and Religion, and I really started with sounds and how different cultures around the world perceived and valued and understood that, and then tracked that, how that translates into a religious tradition, and we get what we call the religious music, but it really has to do with their values and their approach to sound. And that wasn't formally ever cross-listed, but anthropology majors, definitely music, religious studies majors, music majors. There's just a lot for people who are anything, psychology majors, just to understand how different societies relate to sound and value it.
We talk a little bit about that as we're studying music. We talk about a 3/4 time representing the Trinity in Christianity, and we talk about a requiem and the way it feels and what it means. But we often, studying Western classical music, gloss over the impact in other religion and other spiritual traditions. And I'm really impressed isn't the right word, because I'm excited that there's someone here that's thinking about things in that way and teaching ourselves and others who are just trying to learn what we're doing a little bit more about that. Well done to you.
Oh, my goodness, thank you. And
who are, in your mind, we're rediscovering now, like Florence Price, we don't talk about Amy Beach enough, I think. In your mind, who are the great women pioneers in the world of music? Who are some? I'm going to rephrase it.
I don't know, I really feel like I'm on that. Well, I was going to say I was going to bring it back to jazz too. I was just trying to think of just, I'm going to just blank out here from doing this. I'm on the spot. Let me think. I'm not sure I can answer you right at the moment. You've got some of them, but there's, other than Hildegard de Bingen, and you go through, and certainly Amy Beach and Fanny Mendelssohn, and all of those that's the classical part of it. But I think the singers, the vocalists from jazz, and if you take a moment and you look into that, all of the great performers had mothers and aunts and sisters and cousins who performed that little harder. Like, there are so many fine pianists, probably percussionists, but like horn players that you wouldn't think of and string players that you wouldn't think of. And if I really was thinking this question was coming, I would have brushed up on it to drop names. But there are so many that have been not really heard. And a lot of that is the intersectionality of women's lives and the choices that they have to make and the time and all of that. And that's the same too. When you say how, now that I can come to jazz now that my daughter is grown, when she was little, I wasn't gonna go disappear for a day or two and jam with people, right? So the things that drive that are economic sometimes. That's where teaching comes in. That's where like playing weddings come in, because that's steady money and that's what you do. But you'd have to look, by instrument. Piano's a big part of it, because that was one of the instruments that women first it was acceptable to play. But they've always played percussion instruments. They've always done all of these things. They've been making music as long as there have been human beings. And on another day, I would come better prepared to give you some names.
You've given us great names. I mean, I think about Amy Beach because she's a great composer, a fantastic composer. We gloss over her because we have Beethoven, so we're going to talk about this man Beethoven, who's great. Beethoven, nobody's saying Beethoven didn't write great music, but Amy did too. Maybe we'll get some on the stage sometime.
Right.
Which is a little
But I think, when I explain, like, if there's a trombone major in my class, and I said, have you ever heard of Melba Liston? And he's like, no. I'm like, you definitely need to listen to her before you leave school. There's some other, you need to just start looking. And there's plenty of resources now that will present that.
I think that's fabulous. Getting to know you before the interview and now during the interview, we'll talk a little bit more after the interview.
Okay.
I'd love to invite you back to teach some classes that I think I want to do coming up. Maybe another performance. Maybe we can learn more about these influences of yours. Experience some of how music and religion and spirituality and women's studies come full circle with what you do. I would really, really appreciate getting to learn more about that. Thinking about Stay With Me, even when I heard you playing that, I thought, wow, I moved. That's one of my mothers that she sings all the time. Thank you for sharing that with us tonight.
Oh, thank you so much. And I would love to come back. Oh my goodness, to find someone that's interested in, the things that I've spent time on. That would mean a great deal to me. And I'm so appreciative for the opportunity to come and play. And the fellows that were with me are just the best. I mean, I'm just so lucky. Lee Covington and Carter Blough and Keith Willingham, who stepped in at the last minute. So I think it went as well as it was going to go. We just kind of jumped in and did it. So I appreciate it so much.
Well, you making them sound good. That's you, Ms. Deb. Well, I have chatted enough. I think that the folks at home are eager for set 2, as I am. Would you mind?
Oh, no, I'd love to.
Thank you very much, Deb.
Okay.
We're going to start our second set with Autumn Leaves. Those are some swirling leaves. Little dizzy. All right. Double clutching. Yeah. Chuck Israel tune, double clutching. Well, Shelley will introduce this. This is Softly as in a Morning Sunrise. And we have two more tunes for you. The next one is by Valentin, also another great flutist. And the name of this tune is Enchantment. And I know as for many people, it's been a rough year and a half. And when I discovered this tune, it filled me with joy. It made me very happy. And I'm so glad that we're going to get a chance to play this right now for you. And then we're going to end with Boo Boop Be Doop. Okay. Okay. just never want to let go of that ringing that I hear, the sounds after. Okay. Boo boopy doo.
Deb Saidel, and the rest. Thank you for warming us up in the autumn. Thank you for giving us a moment to coo and to sigh and to celebrate again art and life through the sound of jazz. We appreciate you all for that. BJ Brown, there you are. Thank you for continuing to send us talent like this. Dominion Energy for helping me pay them just a little bit. Remember Tommy Productions, thank you for sitting behind those cameras and capturing us week after week. And of course, Chris up there in that booth for mixing the sounds we all enjoy. Those of you at home, thank you for being with us again to love with us. Thank you for listening to us. And thank you for learning from us. In Richmond, Virginia, at the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts from the Leslie Cheek Theater stage. This has been our virtual Dominion Energy Jazz Cafe. I'm Robert Fennard. Good night.